The Odyssey, an epic poem attributed to the ancient Greek poet Homer, chronicles the long and perilous journey of Odysseus as he attempts to return home after the Trojan War. A masterful blend of adventure, fantasy, and moral lessons, the Odyssey highlights the trials and tribulations faced by Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, as he navigates a world filled with both divine and earthly challenges. The journey, which should have taken just a few weeks, spans 10 years, during which Odysseus faces numerous obstacles and challenges before finally reuniting with his wife, Penelope, and his son, Telemachus. The fall of Troy and the departure. The Trojan War, a monumental conflict between the Greeks and the Trojans, had raged for 10 years. It ended with the clever strategy devised by Odysseus, the famous Trojan horse. With the city of Troy burned and the war concluded, Odysseus and his men set sail for home. However, the gods, angered by the arrogance and impiety of some of the Greeks during the war, had other plans. Odysseus' journey would be anything but straightforward. The Sicines, a taste of defeat. Odysseus and his men first encounter the Sicines, a tribe living in the city of Ismarus. After sacking the city and taking their spoils, Odysseus' men, instead of leaving quickly, linger to celebrate. This delay proves costly, as the Sicines regroup and attack, killing many of Odysseus' men. This event highlights a recurring theme in the Odyssey: the consequences of pride, greed, and ignoring sound judgment. The Lotus Eaters, forgetting home. After escaping the Sicines, Odysseus and his men land on the island of the Lotus Eaters, where the locals offer them a sweet, addictive plant, the lotus. Those who eat the lotus forget their desire to return home and wish only to stay and eat more of the plant. Odysseus, recognizing the danger, forces his men back onto the ship and sails away, preventing them from succumbing to the lethargy and forgetfulness that the lotus induces. The Cyclops, facing Polyphemus. One of the most famous episodes of Odysseus' journey involves the encounter with Polyphemus, a one-eyed Cyclops and the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Odysseus and his men find themselves trapped in Polyphemus' cave, where the Cyclops begins devouring them one by one. Using his wits, Odysseus devises a plan to escape. He tells Polyphemus that his name is Nobody, and then, with his men, blinds the Cyclops by driving a sharpened stake into his single eye while he sleeps. When Polyphemus calls for help, he tells his fellow Cyclopes that nobody is attacking him, leading them to believe there is no real threat. Odysseus and his men escape by clinging to the undersides of the Cyclops' sheep. However, as they sail away, Odysseus, in a moment of hubris, reveals his true identity, shouting his name to Polyphemus. This act of pride provokes Polyphemus to call upon his father, Poseidon, to curse Odysseus, ensuring that he faces endless hardships on his journey home. The island of Aeolus, the winds of fortune. After escaping Polyphemus, Odysseus and his crew arrive at the island of Aeolus, the god of the winds. Aeolus, sympathetic to Odysseus' plight, gives him a bag containing all the winds except the favorable west wind, which would blow them home to Ithaca. However, just as Ithaca comes into sight, Odysseus' curious and distrustful men, believing the bag contains gold or treasure, open it. The released winds create a massive storm that blows them back to Aeolus Island. This incident underscores another recurring theme of the Odyssey: the tension between leadership and the loyalty of followers. Despite Odysseus' clear instructions, his men's lack of trust and patience leads to their downfall. This betrayal of trust by his crew prolongs their journey. The Laestrygonians, the cannibal giants. After being blown off course by the released winds, Odysseus and his men land in the territory of the Laestrygonians, a race of cannibalistic giants. The Laestrygonians attack Odysseus' fleet, sinking most of his ships and devouring his men. Only Odysseus' ship escapes, and they continue their journey, now greatly reduced in number and morale. Circe, the sorceress. The next stop is the island of Aiaia, home to the sorceress Circe. She enchants Odysseus' men, turning them into pigs. However, with the help of the god Hermes, who gives Odysseus a magical herb called moly to protect him from Circe's magic, Odysseus confronts the sorceress. Impressed by his resistance, Circe restores his men to their human form and becomes Odysseus' ally and lover. They remain on the island for a year, during which time Circe advises Odysseus on how to continue his journey home. The underworld, seeking knowledge from the dead. Following Circe's advice, Odysseus sets sail for the land of the dead to consult the prophet Tiresias about his fate. This journey into the underworld, known as Nicaea, is a significant moment in the Odyssey, as it reveals the inevitability of death and the wisdom that can only be gained through hardship. In the underworld, Tiresias warns Odysseus of further challenges ahead, particularly the dangers posed by Poseidon and the need to avoid the cattle of Helios. Odysseus also encounters the spirits of fallen comrades, including Agamemnon and Achilles, who reflect on the cost of war and the value of life. The Sirens, resisting temptation. Armed with Tiresias' knowledge, Odysseus continues his journey and soon faces the deadly Sirens, whose enchanting voices lure sailors to their deaths. To safely pass by their island, Odysseus orders his men to plug their ears with beeswax, while he, curious to hear the siren's song, has himself tied to the mast of the ship. Though he is mesmerized by their beautiful voices, his crew, following his earlier orders, keeps him bound, allowing them to sail past the danger unharmed. This episode emphasizes the theme of temptation and the necessity of self-control. Despite his immense curiosity, Odysseus ensures that he does not give in to the deadly allure of the Sirens. Scylla and Charybdis, between a rock and a hard place. Next, Odysseus and his men must navigate the treacherous straits guarded by Scylla and Charybdis, two deadly sea monsters. Scylla is a six-headed beast that devours sailors, while Charybdis is a whirlpool that swallows entire ships. Knowing that he cannot avoid both monsters, Odysseus chooses to sail closer to Scylla, sacrificing 6 of his men to her ravenous heads but avoiding the destruction of his entire ship by Charybdis. This choice reflects Odysseus' difficult role as a leader, forced to make decisions where there are no perfect outcomes. It also symbolizes the harsh realities of life, where one must sometimes endure suffering to avoid even greater loss. The cattle of Helios, defying the gods. Despite Tiresias' warnings, Odysseus' men, driven by hunger, kill the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios while Odysseus is asleep. Enraged, Helios demands justice from Zeus, who responds by sending a massive storm that destroys Odysseus' ship and drowns all of his men. Only Odysseus survives, clinging to a piece of wreckage as he is washed ashore on the island of Ogygia. This episode highlights the consequences of defying the gods and succumbing to temptation, reinforcing the theme that the gods are ever present and must be respected. Calypso, the captive of love. On the island of Ogygia, Odysseus is taken in by the beautiful nymph Calypso, who falls in love with him and holds him captive for 7 years. During this time, Odysseus longs to return home but is powerless to leave. Calypso offers him immortality if he agrees to stay with her, but Odysseus refuses, determined to return to his wife and son. Eventually, the gods, at the request of Athena, intervene. Hermes is sent to Ogygia to command Calypso to release Odysseus. Reluctantly, she agrees, and Odysseus builds a raft to set sail once more. The Phaeacians, a glimpse of home. After leaving Ogygia, Odysseus is caught in another storm, this time sent by Poseidon, who remains determined to prevent his return. He is washed ashore on the island of the Phaeacians, where he is found and cared for by Nausicaa, the daughter of King Alcinous. The Phaeacians, moved by his story, agree to help Odysseus and provide him with a ship to return to Ithaca. This act of kindness represents a brief moment of respite for the weary hero, as he is finally within reach of his homeland. The return to Ithaca, the final trial. At long last, Odysseus returns to Ithaca, but his trials are not over. During his absence, his home has been overrun by a group of suitors who vie for the hand of his wife, Penelope, believing Odysseus to be dead. Disguised as a beggar by Athena, Odysseus returns to his palace in secret. He reunites with his son, Telemachus, and together they devise a plan to defeat the suitors. Penelope, who has remained faithful to Odysseus despite the suitors' pressure, devises a test for them. She will marry the man who can string Odysseus' bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads. None of the suitors can accomplish the task, but Odysseus, still disguised, does so with ease. Revealing his true identity, he slaughters the suitors with the help of Telemachus and a few loyal servants. The end of the Odyssey. With the suitors defeated, Odysseus is finally reunited with Penelope. After 20 years of war and wandering, he has returned to his rightful place as king of Ithaca. However, his journey is not entirely over. He must still make peace with Poseidon by making a sacrifice, as prophesied by Tiresias. But for now, Odysseus has completed his long and arduous odyssey, proving himself not just as a warrior, but as a leader, a father, and a husband. The Odyssey is a timeless tale of adventure, perseverance, and the struggle to overcome adversity. Through Odysseus' journey, Homer explores themes of heroism, loyalty, temptation, and the enduring human desire to return home. Even today, the story of Odysseus continues to inspire, reminding us of the challenges we face in life and the resilience required to overcome them.